here. Highly, highly successful man.
Yeah.
He's
Thank you.
been doing insurance for many, many years, and I'm just blessed to be with you, brother.
Blessed to be here. Blessed to be
Yes,
here.
yes.
Blessed to, hey, you got to give me a fist bump, young lady.
Diane
Blessed to be here.
Poligowski here, and Tony Holland,
Diane
very, very
Faligowski.
well known in the
Thank you.
insurance world.
You're very well known.
Oh, a little bit. Not as big as you. So, first off, Tony,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
did you get started in insurance?
Well, Diana, I got started. Actually, when I got started, I don't think anybody goes to college or high school and says, I want to be an insurance person. So I kind of fell into by accident, like everybody else in the industry. But I was waiting tables. I was
Wow.
bartending in a restaurant in Baltimore when I was going through some transition in terms of what I want to do for a living. So I was doing a stint I was studying to be a doctor at Johns Hopkins University,
Wow.
and I was also debating that I want to go through the Wall Street route. So
Yes.
at nights and weekends, I was working to make ends meet. And a buddy of mine says, "What you're doing on Wall Street, and you're studying at Johns Hopkins, you ever thought about insurance?" I'm like, insurance? I sell insurance? I'm too good to be selling insurance for a living. And at the time, by the way, I was living out of my van. It was a little conversion van,
Oh my
1982 Dodge
goodness.
conversion van, had a slapdick on the floor and it leaked
Wow.
oil from the front, gas from the back. So I was living out of that, thinking I was too good for insurance.
Yes.
But true story says, why don't you just come in an interview, see what it's like? You can help unions, help people in need. There's no cold calling, none of that. They provide leads. You can make six-figure money. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I went to the interview. Come to find out, he got $500 to get a friend with a college degree to come to an interview. So I didn't know he had another incentive, but thank God Ray Mazzone was his name.
Mm.
He went back to bartending, waiting tables. He didn't pass the insurance exam.
Oh
God
goodness.
bless his soul, but that was his call to go back into the bar business, and thankfully I was able to pass that test. I thought I
Yes.
failed it at first. I'm like, God, there's no way I got this thing right. But that's how I got started. A buddy of mine, I was bartending and waiting tables with him in a restaurant, and my first month, I fell in love with it because I truly could
Mm.
help people.
Yes.
Yes, I needed to make money. Yes, I needed to move out of that van. I was fortunate enough to be able to move out of that van, and you got a nice place to live, and it just grew from there. And
Mm.
I made a commitment to myself, and this is something I tell agents across the country.
Yes.
I committed my first year. I said, God, if this is where I'm supposed to be, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna stay faithful. I'm gonna stay, dedicated. I didn't even have TV. I didn't have cable. I didn't go
Wow.
out. I just said, I want to focus on this, and if this is my calling, show me a
Right.
sign. And that first year, I was the first person in my family, and this was back in 1994. I was the first person in my family to make over 100,000 a year. And mind you, I came from a family that no one made over 50,000 a year
Oh
in their
my goodness.
lifetime.
And you double that.
My mom only made over 35,000 a year, and I
Holy
made
cow.
I made three times what she made. But nobody in my family, in terms of aunts and uncles, were making over 50,000 a year.
Oh
And
my
and no
goodness.
one probably in my town was making six figures that I
Oh
grew
my
up in,
goodness.
little railroad town in Western Maryland. So first
Wow.
to do that, and then went from there and just built an agency that just took off from there.
Oh my
I know
goodness.
that was a long,
No,
long answer to
I
a simple
love
question.
that. No,
So
I
I got
love that.
started.
Yeah.
But what really locked me in, I'll add this,
Mm.
is that the first year was about the money. I want to be honest. I
Okay.
needed to make money. I got the car, I got the condo. I was living in dressing in nice suits, and
Hmm.
I was finally out of that rut. My second year in the business, I started doing it for a whole different reason.
Mm.
When I had to pay my first claim, and I remember being in that house. I'll never forget the day of my first claim, and it wasn't on a 50, 60, or 70 or 80 year old. But I was sitting with a couple, and I was doing the presentation. They said no 4 or 5 times, and I was taught and message, don't give up until after the fifth no. And I'm like, I give it one more try. And I talked to them about, the strike and layoff waiver, because at American Income they had
Yes.
that. If you went on strike or laid off, because they kept telling me we're worried about a layoff, worried about going on strike,
Yes.
we're scared, we can't spend the extra money. I said, we got this waiver. It'll pay the premiums for
Right.
up to a year if you get laid off or go
Hmm.
into a strike. They go, then we'll take it. And then while I was
Wow.
filling out the application, I said, we have this thing called a child rider. You told me you had three kids. I can get them all covered. The child rider. And their youngest was like 12. I think they had like a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. And they hem and hawed. I said, yeah, it's $5. So I
Yeah.
added the child rider. Well, 6 months later, I got a call from the union president, Terry Thompson. I'll never
Hmm.
forget that phone call. He asked me if I could help out with a funeral. I'm like, okay, what do you mean you need help with a funeral? You guys got, the policy was set up. He goes, no, but can you guys help out with a donation? I got a family that's in dire need. Did you see on the news this weekend? about a drowning on Lake Linganore. I said, a drowning on Lake Linganore? He goes, yeah, one of the families that is part of my union,
Mm.
their son, 12-year-old kid, died on Lake Linganore trying to save two other kids that
Oh
were
my
drowning on Lake
goodness.
Linganore. What happened to be that 12-year-old kid on the child rider that was in that house six
Oh
months
my
prior. And
goodness.
it shocked me that
Wow.
I looked it up on the computer. I'm like, they got a policy, they got the child rider. And I never thought about it being for a child being able to deliver a
Yeah.
claim, but I had to do that. And I
Yeah.
wanted to do that. Not had to, I wanted to do that, to be there for that family,
Mm.
to have that extra cash to pay for the funeral and pay for some bill. I mean, no amount of money can bring back a child.
Right.
But right then and there, I stopped selling insurance for the commission. I got stopped selling insurance for the awards. I got tons of, you come to my office, I got hundreds and hundreds of awards. I stopped selling it for that. I started selling it because I was truly making a difference in people's
Yes.
lives. It just
Absolutely.
wasn't a gimmick anymore. It just wasn't a way to make a living. It was about
Yes.
changing the world and being, a shining light for people that were clueless about the purpose and need for quality insurance.
Absolutely.
So that
Wow.
that was where my business took off. I mean, I went from
Yes.
making a nice 120,000 a year to that next year I made well over 300,000, and it just
Man.
grew from there because I stopped selling for the commissions, stopped selling for the bonuses and the recognition. I started selling because I was sitting across the table with that family. It was about doing what's right with that family's needs, and they
Yes.
could sense my compassion and my love for them was more
Yes.
than how much money I can make off this family. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
my sales increased with the same amount of effort because I think really people could read my
Yes.
energy was more about doing what's right for them than me making money. Because the seniors
Absolutely.
know, and clients in general know, you're
Yes.
coming out to their house or on the phone because you're going to be making money.
Yes.
They want to
Yes.
know they're doing business with someone that truly cares more about them than
Yes.
that commission check.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, uh, my
That's how I got
brother,
started.
my brother's on fire. I don't know how I can keep up with this
Oh,
guy.
you're doing a great job.
So tell me now, getting an insurance is, again, it's one of those things that nobody aspires to be an insurance agent. Let's
Yeah,
let's be honest, right? Um, the industry in itself, it's really hard to get started.
right.
What can you tell new agents or aspiring new agents out there? What would be like key components or key things that they must be doing to make it in this industry? Because a lot of people fail. I mean, let's be honest, it's not for everybody, but I think there has to be some secret formula that you've figured out along the way
In terms of longevity or the build,
to survive in the business being
that's
new.
a very good question.
Mhm.
And there's a statistic out there. I think you've heard of Cody Askins put out a
Yeah.
statistic, the 8% nation,
Yes.
because 92% of agents fail in their first year.
Yes.
And I found that out even well before I knew Cody. Back in the early days, I read an article in the Life Underwriters
Mm.
guide that went out, and it was an article about why at that time so many agents fell about the same number.
Mm.
Is the lack of understanding, one, a purpose of why they're doing it.
Okay.
That's
That's
something
a
I
big one.
gained after year two,
Yep.
but also the lack of understanding of the power of referrals. So this whole
I see.
article talked about those that generate referrals have a 10 times more likely chance to survive at a higher level than the agents that don't understand the power of referrals. It's like real estate or any other industry out there. The power of the referral generation process and building that relationship through referrals. That's what made the company A.O. Williams great, and many
Yes.
other companies in that network marketing field. Is about relationship. Most of those companies never use a lead,
Right.
but they market through relationships and getting
Right.
referrals. And
Right.
for me, I guess my greatest success, where I went through a whole nother level to reach that 7-figure level,
Yeah.
I was great at doing grassroots marketing, getting the
Okay.
churches, the VFWs, the American Legions, the food banks,
Yes.
going through the dialysis centers, going through the provider network. I would
Yeah.
identify the providers in a network that had an open panel.
Yeah.
Those are the ones when I was doing Medicare back in the day, I would go to them because I knew if they have an open panel, that means they're looking for more what? They're looking for more clients.
Yes.
So if I can partner with that physician's office, I can help you get what you want, more quality clients because I'm in
Yes.
your neighborhood. Two,
Yes.
let me put up kind of a booth or a sign in your lobby,
Yeah.
channel people to me because ultimately I'm going to be sending them to you as their
Right.
PCP. I can help them get on the right Medicare plan.
Right.
So there's so many options now. And I do a full training on grassroots marketing.
Yes.
That to me, outside of getting referrals to get to that next level and talking about doing 80 sales in a day. Some people, how do you do 80 sales in a day? Through grassroots marketing, through a
Wow.
church group, through a VFW,
Yes.
American Legion, through gyms. I mean, we got that
Yes.
silver sneaker program and
Yes.
silver and fit. Why aren't you working with the gyms if you're doing Medicare to
Yes.
help educate their staff and help educate their membership and how that works? That
Yes.
creates another way of getting referrals on a grassroots level.
Yes.
So definitely
Absolutely.
those two. First of all, it's got to be passion for what you do,
Okay.
okay, and loving the business and doing it for the right reason. Then it has to be great at getting referrals. And referrals are an art form. I don't get referrals. I mean, I don't really ask for them.
Mhm.
They're offered to me, if that makes sense, because I
Wow.
do such a good job on the front end with all the
Yes.
amazing tools that I have available. A lot of stuff I do is for free. So what I help people out was with private,
Mm.
state, and federal subsidy programs on the front end, whether I'm doing life, whether I'm doing annuities, or I'm doing health insurance, Medicare.
Mm.
I offer so much value up front. They're offering me referrals, so I don't have to
Yes.
ask for them. I get them. It
Yes.
makes it so much simpler to get referrals because I'm doing,
Yes.
a discount health card for them. I'm
Uh-huh.
doing, a free will for them. I'm doing, the RSSA program where I'm helping them understand how Social Security works. This sort of do a free analysis for them. So I'm
Yes.
doing all this stuff that they would have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to go through a lawyer or some other professional. I offer that for free.
Yes.
It's so much easier for me then to help them enroll into one of my programs and then to
Right.
help them help their families with the same process in offering those services. So that's how I
Wow.
got my referrals. That's how I got into church groups. That's how I
Wow.
got into the gyms. I
Yes.
offer so much on the front end, and there's
Right.
there's no obligation or cost. Tell me more.
Yes.
So I got them. How can you help this group? I remember I
Yes.
got a bishop one time. I got his church, and he said no. He came in off of a lead. He sent two leads to me.
Yes.
He sent two leads to me and said no twice. I'm like, what's this guy keeps sending the lead in? I said, you know what? I called his wife up and says, can y'all see you guys when they can become? He was a pastor of a church and a bishop. He said no to me, but got me into his church. That's how I got that one day 80. I ended up with 300 sales of that one church. He got me five other churches in the Baltimore, D.C. area that he was on the bishop's council with.
Oh
He
my
then became a
goodness.
client a year later because he had no insurance himself. You wouldn't believe how many insurance professionals out there don't have insurance. He was a pastor of the church telling people to get their insurance right, and I actually helped his group. And then finally, he became a client of mine. Did his Medicare and his life insurance for him.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Wow.
And that's
That's
another thing I'll
amazing.
add to it.
Yeah.
You got to be able to cross sell. Cross selling, you
Absolutely.
got to
Yes.
cross sell. You can't be one dimensional.
Right.
And another key things I talk about the three tenets to being successful in this business. I learned this from Bernard Rappaport with American
Yes.
Income out of
Yes.
Waco, Texas. He taught me this in early days. Number one, you have to have the right attitude about the business,
Yes.
that passion, that energy,
Positive.
positive, being positive. I listen to, and I didn't come from a positive family. I had a lot of negativity growing up, a lot of static environment. It was just never positive. It was just always
Yes.
bitter, angry, negativity. A
Yes.
lot of that negative energy, just the way
Yes.
the culture was there.
Yes.
I had to work on this all the time. So I
Mm.
had to reprogram myself. I listened to Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar,
Yes.
Tom, how you name it. I had them in my head
Yes.
all the time because
Yes.
I knew I had 18, 19, 20 years of bad input like a computer.
Right.
I needed to
Right.
reprogram myself. So attitude is number one. Number two, you have to have a strong work ethic. I mean,
Yes.
you're not going to make, six figure, seven figure money working 2 to 3 hours a day.
Correct.
I'm the hardest working person in my company, and I've been doing this 30 years. Because to me, it's not work. What I do is
It's
fun.
fun.
It's just
Yes.
exciting sitting with you, sitting
Yes.
with partners earlier today.
Yes.
They're like, don't you ever stop? You got all this
No.
energy. I'm like, no, because it's not work to me. So you got to have a great work ethic. The average multimillionaire in this business works 60 hours a week. The average
Okay.
agent they find out only works 10 to 20% of that. No wonder people are failing, so they don't have the work ethic. So
Yes.
attitude, the work ethic. Number three, you got to have the skill set, like getting referrals,
Yes.
like how Medicare works, how extra help works, how life insurance. A lot of people are winging it. Now, if you were going to a surgeon or anybody else that's watching this, would you go to a surgeon that winged it through
Oh
med
no.
school? Would you, if he doesn't know where, if he's going to do heart surgery and he's looking at your leg, they'll cut you there. The heart's not in the leg. I mean, you're laughing, but there's agents out there that want to get in this business, be successful, and they're deficient in all three of those. And you went to
Yes.
the leadership summit we did
Yes.
with Mr. Tom
Sigler.
Ziegler.
Yes.
He talked about that in his meeting. I've been talking
Yes.
about that for almost 30 years now.
Yes.
And he says if you're deficient in one of those areas, it takes away the rest. Because if you're a one and a one at attitude and work ethic, and
Mm.
you're a zero at say the skill set, zero times one is still zero. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're a zero in attitude, but you got good work ethic, and yet Medicare inside and out, zero times one is still
Zero.
zero.
Yeah.
So if you're deficient in one of those three categories, you're going to end up with zero. So I know
Wow.
that's another long answer to a simple question.
Yes.
Master the right attitude, have passion for this business,
Yes.
master the work ethic, and then the skill set. The number one skill set you have is obviously people skills, but the skill set of getting referrals.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Now tell me, what are the best things that insurance industry has brought you and your
You
family?
know what? The best things that's taught me in this business, that's brought me. I was an introvert because I grew up in a very. I was an
No
introvert. Yeah,
way.
I was.
Oh,
I was an introvert. It helped me come out of my shell a little bit to talk
okay.
to people. So it forced me to be able to knock on strangers' doors and go into strangers' house. It gave me the ability to understand as bad as my situation growing up,
Hmm,
there's 10 people 10 times worse.
that's
So it
right.
used to be what I used to tell agents: you're having a bad day in your life, go out in the field, go into inner city of Baltimore, DC, or Philadelphia, the markets I originally ran in and did business in. You'll see people that have a reason to complain. You don't.
Wow.
People that are dealing with real life problems like life and death problems, cancer and heart problems,
Yes.
or they just lost a son to the inner city crime, or they're
Mm,
dealing with the loss of a loved one, when their parents died, from some other disease. It
yes.
made me realize that, as challenging as my childhood was and the things I went through were horrific. I shouldn't have, no kid should have gone through what I went through. But you know
Hmm.
what? There are people going through more difficult things. So that
Absolutely.
brought me that. It helped me with my soul, my spirit. It helped me connect with people, especially working through the churches. I got to see how, different cultures,
Yes.
worship. I mean,
Yes.
I got to see how Southern Baptists worship, where
That's
they
fun.
get down and have the bass
Yes.
player on stage and a drummer get in
Absolutely.
town. It's
Yeah.
like, we didn't have that in my church. I grew up Catholic. We didn't have that. We had an organist, but it's just nice to see that and be able to help change people's lives. That was number one for me because
Mm,
I love changing and saving people's lives at
mm,
all levels in this business. I do it from my heart, but it
mm.
also gave me the freedom. This business gave me the freedom to live a lifestyle that I could only dream about. When I was a little kid back in the 70s, one of my favorite shows was The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. And I don't know if you remember that show back in the good old days. Look it up, guys. But it was a cool show by Robin Leach. He was the
Okay.
host. And it was like I see all these $1 million homes and successful people, private jets. I'm like, God, that can't be real.
Yes.
And my mom used to take us down to DC sometimes, weekend getaways, and we would go through this town called Potomac, Maryland, and Bethesda, Maryland,
Hmm.
and I would see all these big houses. I'm like, they are real. I'm like, they're real. And then sometimes we go down to the water, like Baltimore, DC area. There's a lot of water, a lot of boats. I see these big old yachts. I'm like, there are real people living in us, just not on TV. I'm like, one day I want to do that. So it can give you that lifestyle,
Yes.
and also what I love about what it's given me, not only the lifestyle and the freedoms. I've been to over like 40 different countries around the world.
Wow.
My kids have been able to have that. My kids have been
Yes.
able to go to great private school, get an education I didn't get
Yes.
growing up. It's allowed
Yes.
my wife to be there helping them grow up, which was important to us, that she
Yes.
didn't have to have, a traditional 9 to 5 job. She helped
Yes.
me in the business with be able to raise our children.
Hmm.
It helped me, allowed me to coach sports.
Wow.
Many people that know me from online. I was a top football coach for 13 years, and I helped other kids to be able to get to the next level to go to college. Those kids that were like me, they didn't have fathers, to be able to impact
Mm,
their lives. This business gave me that opportunity that I had the flexibility to coach football full time, still be a dad, still be a husband, still run a multi-million-dollar business. Where else
right.
can you get that? I mean,
Yes.
that freedom, not having somebody have their thumb on you, in a business and having to punch a clock. I mean, I don't think people realize these people out there are slaving at a 9 to 5 job, putting in 40, 50 hours a week. You always got somebody's thumb on you. In this business, you ain't got to worry about that. You're
Yes.
your boss. Matter of fact, your clients are really who you work for. If
Yes.
you, I really believe if people put the amount of hours they do at a 9 to 5 job in this business, they'll never have to worry about money again. But they got to stick to it, like I did my first year. I'm not quitting no matter what. That first year, no matter what, I'm gonna give it all I got, like never before. No TV. I didn't go out on dates. I was single back then. I didn't go to the bars. I didn't go. I just said this year I'm going to give it all I got. I don't have time for personal problems or anybody else's personal problems. That first year, I was dedicated, committed, no other. So I said, I'm going to give it all I got. God, you take care of the rest. And I'm going to tell you this:
Mm,
if you have God first in your life, everything
yes.
takes care of itself. And
Yes.
when you make that pact with God, if you take one step to Him, He'll take two steps to you. I found that to be true. I said, I'm making this commitment. No matter what, I'm going to do what it takes to be there. And He's blessed me a thousandfold, a
Wow.
thousandfold. It's been a
Wow.
blessing. And now what I'm trying to do is pay it forward to help other partners like yourself
Yes.
and the gentleman, Tassan, that I met earlier.
Yeah.
That's what I love doing. I've done that with multiple partners. I want to
Yes.
help other people get to that next level. I
Yes.
want them to live out their dream. It might not to be to have a private jet or have a beautiful house in the water. It
Yeah.
might be, what, I just want to see my mom and dad taken care of.
Yes.
To give them the life they always wanted, and the
Yes.
sacrifices they made. There's people that have all
Yes.
kinds of dreams and goals. It's nice that we can be a facilitator for that
Yes.
dream and goal to be realized with our great company called Integrity.
Right. What would you say um, for people that, like, I don't know if I could do insurance. I just don't know if I could do it. Do you think that anybody could do this business?
Um, I truly do. If they have those three principles, if you have
Okay.
the right attitude, and you're not doing it for the money's important now,
Right.
and you have the right work ethic and the skills, that yes, you can
Okay.
do it. But I realize some people just don't want it bad enough. They
Yes.
just don't want it bad enough.
Right.
They want enough just to get by. And
Mm.
they've been programmed by our society and our school system, which I think is a
Hmm.
huge challenge, that to
Yes.
get a good job, get a good hourly wage, get a paycheck, be there for 30, 40 years and get the gold watch. I found out that doesn't exist. It's a
Hmm.
lie. And if
Yeah.
you guys get a chance, read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by
Yes.
Robert
I love that.
Kiyosaki.
Hmm.
You know, famous guy out of Hawaii. He's an Asian American,
Yes.
created, wrote an unbelievable book. I
Yes.
read it in 1994 when it first came
Hmm.
out. And I'm like, I got my eyes opened up. I was taught that way back when I was a kid. No one
Yeah.
taught me about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Nobody
Yes.
taught me how to have a positive attitude.
Yes.
Why I was reading Beowulf, Mice and Men, all these classics. Why won't we reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? That's been
Correct.
out since 1937.
Yes.
Why didn't we get to read books like that? Or
Yes.
The Power of Positive Thinking by
Yes.
Norman Vincent Peale. Why didn't we read books like that? Because there's a system. If you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, there's a system designed to keep certain people poor and allow
Mm.
others to be rich. And I hate to say it that way, but our society is structured that way to keep certain group of people in this level. I said, not me. I want to go out of that. I can't. You can't help who are your parents. You can't help what maybe community you grew up in or school you went to. But when
Yes.
you turn 18, 19, now it's your responsibility.
Yes.
The education and tools are out there. You can Google. We didn't have Google back in that day, right? We had to go to the library.
Five paper apps.
Yeah, you got every single thing you need to know on your smartphone.
Yes.
Back in the day, I spent a lot of time in libraries,
Yes.
to get this knowledge and information. You don't even need books anymore. It's right on your smartphone.
Yes.
You can read and get anything. You don't even need to read. You can just listen to the knowledge and get it in here. You know what I used to do? I
Yes.
got I got so fascinated by how
Uh-huh.
my life transpired, how from Tony Robbins, my days with Tony
Yes, I
Robbins,
love Tony.
got
Yes.
to know him personally and the things he's done and changed my life, and understand there's a science behind success. There's
Yes.
also a science behind failure, and
Yes.
realize I was not, it just happened because the
Hmm.
school system, the way they were designed to fail, they were
Okay.
designed to not win.
Right.
The school system was designed for that way. So
Yes.
some of it's they just didn't know that they didn't know. But
Yes.
once I got to know, I'm like, damn it, I'm going to change this. I'm not going to
Yes.
live or think that way no more. And it
Yes.
took me years to break out of some of that. Don't
Yes.
get me wrong, it wasn't like overnight success.
Right.
It's a process to get
Yes.
out of that rut. It
Yes.
took me years to break that curse because I
Hmm.
truly believe it is a curse. It's a
Yes.
mindset. It's just like any other curse. I mean, it's biblical. The
Right.
mindset. You can control anything you want based on the mindset. It all starts in the mind. Like criminals, the crime starts in the mind first. Success starts in the mind first.
Yes.
I have a saying: whatever you think about, whatever you speak about,
It
you're going to
happens.
bring about in your life.
Yes.
And when I was growing up, all I heard and thought about was negative thoughts. That's all I heard. I
Yes.
watched the news like everybody else did,
Oh,
how bad life is. This person's keeping you down. This person's doing wrong. And it was negative, 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 negative. So you think negative, you speak negative, you bring about negativity. So I
yes.
had to change that. I actually had to cut off some family members and friends from back
Yes.
in the day because I couldn't be in that cesspool anymore.
Mm.
I had to say, I'm sorry. I'll see you once a year at Christmas. But other than that, I'm going on a new journey.
Yes.
I don't want to be in that wilderness. Okay. They're
No.
like the Israelites. The Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years.
Yes, they just went around and around
Guess
in
what? We got
circles.
people today in the wilderness 40, 50, 60 years going
Yeah.
around the same mountain when the promised land was just 10 days away by foot. That was pretty close.
Yes.
So by car, that's a day's drive,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I would have been there yesterday,
Yes. Yes.
because I think that's part of the deception that's
Mm.
out there, the adversary that's out there. They want to keep
Yes.
people in bondage, keep people in a state of addictions, a
Mm,
state of poverty. Can you
yeah.
imagine how many good could be done with good Christian people out there that all had $10 million worth of disposable income?
Yeah.
See, the adversary don't want that.
Yes.
So he's going to make it more difficult for the good people in the world to get that. The
Yes.
way you fix that is you got to change the mentality. Your
Yes.
mentality. You got
Yes.
to change your inner spirit to be open to those possibilities. Like this last year or two, I've had more possibilities open to me than ever.
Wow.
And it's the grace of God that all that's happened for me. It's like
Yes.
deals just pop up.
Yes.
Just like the phone call you made. It's like I keep saying, it's like the boomerang effect. Whatever you throw back out to the world comes back.
Yeah.
Me blessing you and Tassan, other blessings came out of that.
Yeah.
God has a
Absolutely.
way of
Yes.
blessing you for being a blessing to others.
Yes.
So
And I
another
and I think we're here for that, right?
amen, amen.
We are blessed to be a blessing. So let's not forget about a lot of people. They really focus on, okay, well, I want to have that yacht, I want to have that big house. Nothing wrong with that. Totally okay,
Nothing wrong with it.
right? But I think if we understand fundamentally, we are blessed to be a blessing to others,
Amen.
and it just keeps going and going. It's hard to stop it.
It's
It's
like
like almost
snowball effect.
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keeps coming and coming
Like
and
look at
coming.
you. You're like on fire. Like just on
Well,
and on and on.
and,
It's
and
just
it has a lot to do
crazy.
with why we tithe too. Tithe is
Yes.
not just an income, but it's tithing and blessings.
Yes.
Like, other scenarios and business deals, people are like, you help me get this, but you're not asking me for a dime. Like, no, sometimes I just want to be a blessing, just for the sake of being a blessing. No difference than me
Yes.
giving $5 to a homeless man or putting, money into a church or,
Yeah.
I've helped out with different foundations. I got over 37 different charities that I help with. One of my favorite is,
Wow.
yeah, I mean,
I only got 15 so
well,
far,
that's
so I'll
okay.
catch you.
No, but the one of my favorite is it was a battered women's shelter, one of my
Oh,
first ones, and I
oh,
didn't realize in my community there are women dealing with one of a very challenging situation. They have
yes,
little kids,
yes.
so that was one of my first charities in Carroll County, Maryland, that I got involved with because I'm like, that was my mom back in the day. I'm like, these
Oh,
women need help. They were
wow.
18, 19, 20-year-old girls, some 30 and 40, dealing with very abusive situations and have
Oh,
this a shelter they can go to and live and
yes.
make sure their kids. So what I would do every year is make sure those kids that were living in the shelter had Christmas. And I
Oh
dressed up
my
as Santa
goodness.
Claus. And I want to make
Oh,
sure
oh my
they
gosh.
need them, and the
So
publicity
fun.
was nice and all. And I'm like, I didn't need all that, didn't want all that. I just want to know that whether I met this kid or not, he knew somebody loved him. It's kind of
Yes,
like what we did here at Integrity. I think it was like
yes.
66,000
A
toys we
lot
gave
of
out
toys. Yeah.
this past Christmas to
Yes,
kids that were in the hospital. I've done that with Kennedy Krager in Baltimore.
yes,
Every year I would sponsor, a toy drive for the
yes,
kids that were spending their Christmas in a hospital.
yes.
They got family members are there. They're praying for. I mean, these kids were had life-threatening illnesses they may
Wow.
not ever see outside again. I'm like,
Yeah.
let me at least let them know someone loves them and give them the
Yes.
best Christmas possible. At least someone loved them and cared about them to do it. And one of my most powerful experience brought tears to my eyes. I had a Muslim family that had a daughter there, and they had I mean they were mask, face covered. They I can't remember the hashib. What is it called, a hashib? But they
Not
had
sure.
I'll get the language right, but anyway, but they didn't understand Christmas. They were from overseas. I think they were from like Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
and they were over at Johns Hopkins, part of Kenny Krager's part of Johns Hopkins. And the look in that girl's eyes when I gave her, she was like
Hmm.
12, 13 years old. It was
Oh
just a very
man.
powerful, moving moment, and to
Yes.
see the eyes of
Yes.
her look like her mom and her grandmother and another
Yeah.
female relative there.
Right.
It was a very moving moment for me that
Yes.
we can impact people from all cultures. And
Yes.
that's what I love about integrity, the diversity now that we've embraced.
Absolutely.
That we got people from the Latino community, the Asian American community, you
Yes.
name the community, the African American community that are
Yes.
flourishing in
Yes.
this environment that
Yes.
anything's possible if you can dream it. And I
Yes.
think one of the key things to being blessed is being a blessing to someone else.
Yes.
Getting blessed is about being a blessing. Even if you don't
Yes.
have the $5 to your name, you can still bless somebody with $1. You can still bless
Absolutely.
somebody with a kind word. You can bless somebody with a hug.
With a
You can bless,
prayer.
or took the words right out of my mouth, young lady, with a prayer, with a prayer.
Yes.
So hopefully that helped you in regards to that question you asked, because I think it's
Yes.
always important to understand where our blessings come from, and
Yes.
then even though they come from God, you can be a blessing to others. God is
Yes.
channeling that through you to help that person in
Yes.
need.
Now you're involved in a lot of businesses. This guy is just total hustler.
I don't know about that.
Now, what would like when it comes to insurance, I believe that anybody can start insurance even with a $0 in their name,
Right.
just because it's
It's the,
among all the businesses that you've owned or you participated or you're investor in,
right.
like insurance is just one of the best industry out there,
Yes. Yes,
right?
because most of the other companies I've started, I had to come in with capital. I own some,
Yeah,
companies through I have a private equity company,
huge, huge
I have a real
capital.
estate company, I have other companies, and you have to
Yeah,
come in with capital. They're not
yeah,
going to let you be a partner or investor
yes.
without money. Well, the insurance business, instead of having financial equity, which a lot of people don't have when they start,
Mhm.
you have sweat equity.
Yes,
So as
yes,
long as you're willing to put in the $1 million sweat equity,
yes,
then the $1 million wealth will come through that.
yes.
I was willing to put in that $1 million sweat equity. I
Hmm.
didn't mind working until midnight some nights.
Mm.
I didn't mind having to work Saturdays and Sundays sometimes.
Yes.
I did what I had to do to make it happen. That's the sweat equity, and
Mm.
no other business out there. I mean, you got to pay a little bit of money for the license exam,
Yes.
the
150,
AHIP.
$150, which is
Yeah, I mean, minimum to start a business.
very minimum.
Where can you go and get a franchise? You can't get a Dunkin'
Yes.
Donuts franchise for a couple $100. You
No,
can't get any other franchise, a Subway franchise with that. They want at
you
least
need
100, two
millions.
hundred thousand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
you can start with literally no money in this business and start
Hmm.
your own $1 million franchise. And
Yes.
what's best about what we have in integrity, we're a multi-billion-dollar company. We'll give you the tools and resources to do that. The
Yes.
technology. I met with a group today. Like we went through all the technology tools, like $311,000. We equated like we don't have that kind of money to start that. I'm like,
Wow.
we're giving you that for free. You don't have to worry
Wow.
about AI technology. We got it. One
Yes.
group I was talking to the other day, they're like, I'm spending 5,000 on this and 10,000 on this. I'm like, where are you making money? They're like, we're not. And like, you're paying money for all these platforms through integrity. We have all those
Yeah.
platforms. You have all the tools you need. It's like we're giving you a multi-million dollar business. You just have to do your part in terms of the sweat
Correct.
equity to earn the income that you so desire for you and your family. And the
Yes.
biggest problem, we talked about it earlier, most agents aren't willing to put in the sweat equity.
Yeah.
They're not,
Yeah.
and they rather complain and suck their thumb and cry. I'm like, you know what? It ain't the lead's fault you're not successful. It's not your upline. It's not your FMO. It's not your IMO. Because guess what? The real problem, I always tell people, the real person you need to go negotiate with when you're having a
So,
challenge is that person in the mirror.
yes.
If you're not making it and people say no to you and those leads aren't working, so to speak, and this is not working, guess who's not working? Who you're looking at in the mirror.
Yes.
And that's the biggest challenge. Matter of fact, Zig Ziglar, I got to meet him one time. He says, when in business world, he goes, when you're pointing a finger at
There's like
what's
four.
wrong in life, there's three coming back at you. One,
Yes.
or of course, one's up to God,
All
three
right.
back at you. But really, it's your fault.
Yes.
It's your people that fail in the insurance business. I'm gonna tell you the number one problem. It's you. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's you.
Yes.
You are the problem.
I
It's
agree.
either a problem with your attitude, your work ethic, your skill set. If you got a zero on one of those three things, you will fail. But I guarantee you this: you have the right attitude, you have the right work ethic and skill set, you will win and win big in this business. Trust
Wow.
me. I've
Wow.
never. It's a foolproof system. It's a guarantee you'll be successful,
Formula.
but you
Yep.
got to do your part. And most people want the guarantee before they do their part. They want
Mm.
success before they put in the sweat equity.
Right.
And that's the reason why they're failing. They're not willing to learn the extra tools they need to do to learn how to close that sale. They're
Yes.
not learn how to use to freshen up letters. They're
Right.
not willing to take the extra stuff. Because you know what I do when an agent doesn't make it with us, because
Mm.
that happens. I call them up and I do an exit interview. Did you do this? No. Did you do this? No. But it's our fault you didn't make it. You didn't do this, by the way. You didn't do your freshen up letters. Give me a favor. Tell me how you handle this objection. I want to think about it. They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't study our materials. You didn't study the boot camp. Boot camp page 123, it's right there. Did you read that? Let's read that together. So it's our fault or it's your
Wow.
upline's fault. You failed. No, you failed because you wanted to fail. I
Yes.
think people choose failure. It's easy to do that because the culture is brainwashed them that it's someone else's fault when they don't make it.
Yes.
If you got to have that phrase, what is it? If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're willing to make that partnership and do it right and have God by your side, it's a foolproof business. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. They
Love it.
said that comfort and growth don't exist together,
Amen.
and people has to realize that.
It's like being in the gym. When I pump the irons, I'm
Yeah.
sore the next day and
Yeah.
2 days after, sometimes 3 days
And now
after.
look at you now. I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah. I'm in the best shape of my life. And people are like, you're in better shape. You were in your 20s. I'm like, yeah, I'm 53. I'm in the best shape of my life. I can
wow.
outlift 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds in the gym. They're
Yeah.
like, look at me like, are you on something? I'm like, no, I'm high on life. I'm just excited,
Yes.
because I know how important it is to have a healthy body. I can
Yes.
compete better. I can do what I do my job better if I'm in better shape. But
Yes.
I don't go through the day. You can say I'm pretty pumped up. I've been up since early this morning,
Yeah.
and I'm still pumped up, ready to go,
Wow.
and it's because I'm in good health. good condition. That's one thing I'm going to do a series on about the importance of healthcare yourself. Because I
Yes.
had a philosophy back in the day: God first, family second, business third, then me.
Mm.
And I was wrong. It's God first, me next, family, then the business. I'm going to tell you this. Some guys say, "What are you talking about? Your family's." No, if you can't take care of you, how are you going to take care of your family?
True.
If you can't take care of your health, how are you going to take care of your business? So
Mm.
that was my biggest mistake. So I put on like 50, 60 pounds of weight. I was very overweight, not in shape, didn't work out because I was too busy taking care of everybody else but Tony Holland.
Oh,
So
I
I made
see.
that commitment. I become a better father, a better husband. I work better. I'm a better business owner. I function better because I'm taking care of
Mm.
my body. What's the use of making a ton of money and laid up in a
Yes.
hospital in your 50s and 60s, sick all the time?
Yeah.
I take no medications.
Wow.
Friends of mine in their 50s are on this drug and this drug. They got high blood pressure. They're diabetic.
Yes.
They're overweight.
Yes.
They got all these other medical problems, and it's like
Hmm.
it's because you had it out of balance. God first, you second, then your family, then your
I love
business.
that.
Yes.
That's a good
So
formula for
hopefully that was
success.
helpful.
No, that was really helpful. Now, what's next
What's next? What?
for you?
In this new journey,
Yeah,
my journey now. You talking about personal and business wise?
both.
We'll go with personal. I want to continue to be a better father. I
Yes.
want to continue to be a better husband.
Yes.
I want to continue my journey with God and be, more spiritually right. I
Yeah,
want to continue to do that. I think that's a never ending
absolutely.
journey.
Yeah.
There's other personal goals I want to achieve,
Yeah.
different, things I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to create more memories with my family. I think that's important. I think
Yes.
that's what life's all about. That's what
Yes.
God given us this opportunity and the financial well-being to create more memories. Being
Yes.
able to take a trip to China, being
Yeah.
able to go to Thailand, being able to
Yes.
do this and creating memories. I think that's something even our millennials, I think, is starting to master. Many of them are more concerned about their memories and going to
Mm.
different parts of the world than having a $10 million home. So
Yes.
I think that's something I want to continue creating more memories, creating a legacy. I want to be able to
Yeah.
say, not only
That's
did I
huge.
transform my life, my kids' lives, their kids' lives, leaving a legacy. And then on the business side, my biggest personal fulfillment, I want to help other people. I do. I
Absolutely.
want to see people like me that came up with no opportunities or no advantages. I could tell you horror stories happening in the school system, teachers saying I would never be anything. And you're getting into
Oh,
Hopkins, you're not going to get into Hopkins. And I got in, well, if you get in, you're never going to graduate.
wow.
I had some good teachers, don't get me wrong, in my high school, but I had some ones that weren't so good. And just the social injustice, the bigotry stuff I dealt with that was just unthinkable back
Hmm.
then, but I dealt with it. I want to show people like that there is an opportunity for you. You can make it. The American dream is still alive, but you
Yes.
got to make it alive for yourself.
Yes.
You can't rely on the government. You can't rely on a boss. You make your
Yes.
dream alive for you and your family because it is real. It is
Yes.
real. On the business side, I want to help more partners. I
Yes.
want to see integrity, prayerfully one day go public.
Yes.
I think that's going to be that's one of my goals back in
Yeah.
my 20s. I said
Yes.
I wanted to take a company public. Now I
Yeah.
had that opportunity.
Yeah.
On my dream board, there's I got it from my readings with Think and Grow Rich with um, uh,
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. He said, write out your ultimate goal. And I wrote it out, the 6 steps of that. And on there, I said I wanted to help build $1 billion company and take it public.
No
And that
way.
was written over almost 30 years ago. I wrote that up on a
Wow.
piece of paper. I was in Disney World, my first time at Disney World. It's one of my goals. So I proposed to Kathy, by the way. I
Yes.
proposed to her there, but I also wrote out that goal when I was down there when I proposed to Kathy. This was
Wow.
1997, and I wrote that goal out there, and now it's finally
Coming
coming,
to
yeah,
fruition
exactly,
in a few years.
in a few years. It's awesome.
Wow.
It's
So,
amazing.
my friend, where can people find you?
Oh, where they can find me? I'm
Yeah.
right here at the office, Integrity Office. I'm sitting in front of
Online.
a wonderful
Online.
cafeteria. You can find me
Online.
or today or no, they can find me. You can go to globalpremierbenefits.com, globalpremierbenefits.com. I also am on Instagram. You can look me up on Instagram.
What's your handle name?
It's the
The.
the Tony Holland, the Tony Holland.
There's only one
There's
Tony
only one, the
Holland.
one and only
The
Tony
one and
Holland.
only.
So I'm on Instagram. I'm always
YouTube.
available. Excuse me.
You have YouTube
I
too?
have a YouTube channel. It's globalbenefits.com. I also have one that's for the Tony Holland. It's also there as well.
Hmm.
My team is working on some other stuff for me on the social media platforms, but I'm more big in Instagram. I got over like 3 million impressions now.
Woza.
Yeah, yeah, and that's in 4 months.
That's,
By the way, I was Mr. Anti social media.
yeah.
I didn't want anything to do with it like a
Yeah.
year ago. I'm not doing this. I don't want anything to do with it. Look at all the negative garbage and like
Yeah.
some of my associates talked me into it. Like, what you got is a message, Tony. People need to hear that. It's like, you
Yes.
need to put that in a book, which I'm working on, and then you need to also get that out to the world. I'm like, social media
Yes.
is a platform. You can achieve so much. You can achieve 20 years of what you've been doing
Yes.
inside of months on social media. I've
Exactly.
met so many incredible people. You wouldn't
Yes.
believe the lives I've changed. I've sent out messages to people on Instagram.
Mm.
I've people text me back. They
Mm.
chat me back. That message changed my life. Or your principal just
Wow.
told me, gave me what I needed. I get that
Wow.
every day. I'm like, I didn't realize the impact
Yes.
social media
It
can make in a
does. Yeah.
positive way,
Yes.
versus what
Yes.
out there that's negative on
Yeah.
those
Because we
platforms.
could all use good news. Don't you
Absolutely.
agree? Right.
Yeah, I got people chatting me on Facebook. I mean, I had one of my recruits from years ago. He says, "I remember. You remember me?" I'm like, "I can't remember your name." He's like, "I keep seeing you every morning. I get up on my Facebook feed." I'm like, "Get out of here! What are you seeing?" Like, I love it. What you're doing is incredible. I remember when, and you told me back then what was possible, and I didn't listen to you. 8 years, well, no, 15 years later, he's like, I'm wanting to listen to you now. 15 years later, I
Oh
finally,
man.
the
It
seed was
clicked.
planted. I'm like, he goes, Tony, I'm only regretting, I'm kicking myself now. I should have listened to you 15 years ago where I'd be now.
Dang.
And I find out I see these journeyman insurance men and women,
Yes.
15, some of them 20, 30 years, they in the same rut.
Boat.
Just,
Oh.
they just 20, 30 years older. It's like, guys, please listen to me. Listen to
Yes.
her. People like her that know what they're doing.
Yes.
Get off the news, get off the garbage that's out there. Listen to real people like yourself that are making it happen,
Yes.
because we can help you to that promise. And it's like Moses. To me, if I was an Israelite, I was one of the chosen people back
Yes.
then. He got me out of slavery,
Yes.
got me out of Egypt. He got me reparations for all
Yes.
that time.
Yes.
He parted the Red Sea.
Yes.
He got water out of a rock. He
Right.
got manna from heaven. He
Yes.
got so much meat. It was coming out. They said it was coming out their nose. That's a lot
Yes.
of meat. I never had that. I've eaten a lot of meat. Never coming out my nose.
Yes.
But my God, they still wanted to go back to slavery.
I
It
know.
didn't make any sense. And we have
Yes.
that mentality in our society now.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
need to break that curse, that slave mindset. They need to break that, because it does, even though it exists 1,000 years, it exists today. But
Yes.
they have to be the one to decide. It's not going to happen by osmosis. It's not going to be by just wanting it. I think prayer is good, but you got to do your part. Prayer and your work ethic. You
Yes.
know, faith without works is what?
Dead.
Death. And a lot of people may have the faith but no works, or they may have
Yes.
works with no faith. You have to have both of them
Yes.
to make it happen. And dreams can come true when you have that faith and belief, and you combine that with the work ethic. Magic can happen.
Yes.
Transform your life.
Absolutely. You do your best and God will do the rest. That's
I
what they
love that
say.
one.
Yeah. Well,
I
thank
love
you
that
so
one.
much. You're on fire
Thank you so
today.
much. Thank you. Well, you helped me out. You were the catalyst. You're just like the
Sure.
spark. You're like the spark, the
That's what I do.
match. The spark.
Fire.
And I just exploded. So thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate Sharon. You and your great team are incredible. You've been an incredible partner. I love you. You were such an inspiration when you got your announcement. You
Yes.
remember I was trying to reach you, and she thought I was a
I
telemarketer.
thought you were.
No, I just wanted you to spread some love to my people, and I'm like, you kept not answering. I'm like, what the heck's going on with this lady? But when you spoke to my team, it was truly a blessing, because I wanted to
Hmm.
show them a woman that came to this country barely speaking English,
Yes.
started with nothing. You
Yes.
started your first company and sold it for millions of dollars.
Yes.
You got into the insurance business and then did the same thing again with your
Yeah.
insurance company, be part of the Integrity family. I'm
Yes.
like, if Diane could do it, anybody can do it,
Anybody could do it.
right?
Yes,
But see,
sir.
you're not an anybody, and neither am I. And
Yeah.
but you possess those same principles,
Hmm.
and if anybody possesses those same principles, they'll have and accomplish what you and I have together. So
Yes.
I'll tell you, it is real. This is
Yes.
not scripted.
We are real. You're not
You're
an
real. I'm
AI, are
real.
you?
I'm real. It was,
That's a nice Rolex, by the way.
you like it?
Pink.
That,
Oh,
that
beautiful.
was my 50th birthday to present to myself.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Look
It
at
was on my
that.
dream board years ago. I said one
Dream
day I want to
board.
own that watch,
What is the
and I found a broker.
Rolex?
It's a presidential.
Oh, presidential.
It's a diamond presidential
Diamond
and a platinum,
and a platinum.
platinum with a pink mother of pearl.
I see that.
No, but some people say, why would you need an expensive watch like that? It reminds myself how far I've come.
There you go.
And it said if it was on my dream board, I wanted to make that a reality.
Yeah.
And my 50th birthday, which was 3 years ago, I found a very exclusive broker It
Mm.
specializes in rare high-end watches. He says that you know that watch I've been telling him about it for years.
Yes.
He's I come across that exact watch. Yeah,
Wow.
and he it was a blessing from God, and I got a heck of a deal on it. And he's like, it's ready. It's got all the papers. It's new. It's in the box. He goes,
Oh my
I got it
goodness.
set up for you. All you got to do
Wow.
is you got the cash. I'm like, cash is coming. He says, you know, cash is key because that was right about the start of COVID. I call it my COVID watch.
Oh, okay.
This vendor that had it,
Yeah.
it was he needed a blessing.
Yeah.
He needed a saving. It was like March of COVID year
Oh
when
my
that
goodness.
happened.
That's when it
Yeah,
really blew up.
yeah.
Yeah.
That March, that's when I got this watch. So it was my COVID watch.
Oh my
So it was a
goodness.
blessing. The guy needed cash to make ends meet for his
Yeah.
business because everything
Yeah.
started shutting down. Retail stores couldn't open.
Yeah.
He says he's got a watch that's in his safe and it's the watch you want. And
Yes.
he reached out and said, I've
Yes.
been looking for it. And
Yeah.
my broker got
Yeah.
together with him.
Yeah.
Money was done. Had the watch within a couple of days.
Wow. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment at this point of your life,
Uh,
young life? Because
uh,
you're gonna
this
live
is an
until
emotional one. Being
120,
being
right?
being a father, I didn't have.
Oh
That's being
wow.
an accomplishment. Yeah, I
Wow.
didn't have a father growing up. I didn't meet my real father until I was 46 years old.
Hmm.
So yeah, being a father, I didn't have the guy that was on my birth certificate. I found out when I did my DNA test wasn't my real father.
Oh
So it was
geez.
another gentleman that had no clue I existed. Was a good man, raised three daughters, got married after he met my mom, and my mom just put her current boyfriend on the birth certificate. He accepted it. I wasn't his kid. Never knew him either. He was never. I never saw him. He never paid child support. But
Hmm.
meeting my real father was a blessing, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But being the father
Hmm.
that I didn't have, and knowing then I'm finding out he really I had one because my heavenly Father was my father throughout all
Yes.
those adversities, challenges. So I thank
Yes.
God for that. And the day I finally heard from him was the day I was giving a prayer session at 2 in the morning, thanking God for being the father I didn't have. 12 hours later, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the next day, September 22nd, 2016, he calls and found out he did his DNA test on June 11th, 2016, the same day I did my DNA
Oh
test.
my
The same
goodness.
day.
Wow.
He did his test on the same day. I didn't know he existed. He didn't know I existed. He did it as a Father's Day gift from his daughter and my sister, Kara, to find out, what part of Italy his family was from, or if they were really fully Italian or not. I did it to find out my true heritage, and come to find out, I didn't know I was Italian. Half my, my heritage is Italian,
Oh my
and
goodness.
God had a way of bringing us together. So my
Wow.
ultimate goal or passion and dream achieved in my life is being the father I didn't have. And I have three amazing kids. One's graduating from West Point in May. He's going to
Wow.
be going aviation, so he's going to be flying helicopters,
Yes.
Blackhawks. And then I got another son is a top
Wall
stock
Street.
guy.
Yeah.
He's studying finance at Kelly School of Business.
Okay.
Doing incredible stuff on Wall. I mean, what he's done in the stock market is incredible. He's done things that blows my mind, and he's only 20 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Done incredible work. He loves it. He has a passion for it. And
Hmm.
my daughter is 16, and she goes to great school in Baltimore, Bryn Mawr, and just thankful that I've been able to be there for their sports events,
Hmm.
their dance events, be there to help them with their homework, to be the
Yes.
father. I remember praying with my kids when they were little, just to
Oh.
be able to take them to Disney World, things I never got. I
Yeah.
was able to give that to them. So that's been my greatest goal. And that's a goal
Wow.
that's constantly evolving because I don't think that ever stops. I want to continue to grow. Like I said, part of my personal goals is to continue to be the father I didn't have. So,
Wow.
thank you.
That is powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. This was powerful.
This is
I
like,
hope we planted some seeds and touched some lives out
I
there.
hope you guys felt his soul and spirit because if you did not, oh my gosh, I'm just like full of gratitude.
Yeah.
The fact that I know you,
Well,
you're my
thank you.
brother, you're my friend, you're
Thank you.
my partner.
Yes.
I'm just super blessed
Thank you. No, I'm
to,
blessed to know
to,
you.
to know you.
You're an inspiration to many women out there. People from the Asian American community, people
Hmm.
of color. I just I love seeing people not make excuses, just come here and
Yeah.
take advantage of the blessings and the gifts that God have given them.
Yes.
You remind me of in the Bible when it talks about the story of the talents and the three
Yes.
servants. You're definitely that servant number one that God gave them, the 5 talents,
Yes.
and you multiplied it.
Yes.
And I would love to see more people like that versus that third servant that did nothing, which is most of America. They're doing nothing with their talent. They bury it. And you know what God did with them? They got
Yes.
banished, and they lost what little they had. He gave it to the one that did more. And
Yes.
if people read that in the Bible and really master that, what it takes, because it talks about it. You're going to have ups and downs.
Yes.
People are going to do you wrong. You're going to
Yeah.
have to learn how to forgive. It's one
Yes.
of the things, my things, one of the sins I had. I didn't know how to forgive. I had a lot of
Mm.
bitterness and hatred in my heart because of stuff. I had to learn how to let all that go, give
Yes.
it to God.
Yes.
But if you understand that's just part of the cycle, adversity. Let me give you one last message, and we'll go.
Yeah.
But adversity is one of my most powerful messages I've been teaching lately in all my workshops. The adversity that you go through is
Yes.
actually that stepping stone to the next level of success. I
Yes.
used to look at that adversity as a curse, or the adversity of being bitter and angry. I
Yes.
now handle that differently now. I don't
Yes.
get angry when something wrong happens or something doesn't go as planned. I
Yes.
realize this is God helping me get to the
Yes.
next level.
Yes.
And then the next adversity is the next level. See, you
Yes.
said it earlier. You grow through pain.
Yes.
You don't grow through no pain.
Yes.
That's when people are coasting. You shouldn't be coasting. If you
Yes.
want to grow and build, you need adversities.
Yes.
You need disappointments. You need challenges. You need issues. That's
Yes.
just part of life. And
Yes.
God has that designed to promote you.
Yes.
That's how
Amen.
promotions happen. So that's my
Absolutely.
last message. I'll share with the team. Hope that was helpful. You've been a blessing, great friend
Thank you
and
so much, of course.
sister from another mother.
Yes.
You've been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you for the show.
Thank
All right.
you.
Good stuff.
Ah!
Fired up. Turned on. Oh shoot, I'm gonna miss my flight.
Darling, we need 51 minutes.